welcome everyone to week one of the Qlik Newsroom. And we're going to be doing this a little more infrequent. The weekly workshops, we're moving pretty fast. We're doing those every week. There's a lot to put together and kind of a lot of, just trying to keep some continuity there. But we're going to slow things down. And now we're going to be switching into the Arc Newsroom, which is really going to be a combination of kind of all things Qlik, all things Arc, all things in the data, BI, and AI and analytics space going on. But we're doing this bi-weekly. So what you're going to kind of see here are things that are kind of happening in time. And then, as we keep up with new things, we'll be kind of putting them out and about and, going from there. So kicking off week one, these are going to be fairly quick, probably 5 to 10 minutes. And then eventually, as they get longer, I'd like to get, people in here to do more like podcast style type of things and start to have guests on this and kind of make this more of like a, an informal podcast and stuff. So yeah, just kind of want to use this as a forum to showcase a little bit about what we're doing and keep everybody up to date now that we have some things moving along with the school community. AI is moving super fast, and even Qlik Cloud is just shipping new things all over the place. So let's get into it. This week in Qlik Cloud, we released a video this week on Spatial Index function, brand new function to Qlik. Pretty cool, pretty functional. It gives it more of a, kind of allows your mapping components to give more of an Esri feel. When you're kind of zooming in, it kind of does that auto filter and starts to kind of do little more indexing there, so you're not actually having to rely on selections and stuff like that. So super helpful when you're doing relationship and spatial analysis, right? So we just launched that. Awesome, put it out this week. That will be we're gonna start doing kind of more explainer type videos and things like that, one-offs. The first couple of weeks we're really just kind of getting things together as far as building out that core content, building out what is Qlik, what is Arc, how do things work. So this is going to be a good segue into some of our like mini clips, our little mini sodes there. That's really all I had this week for the Qlik Cloud stuff. So moving into AI, BI, and data, we're seeing a lot of cool stuff going on out here. And I'll start with AI. There's some really fun libraries and packages and modules and agents popping up all over the place. And the one that's kind of getting everybody's attention is Hermes-Agent. And it's really kind of superseded from the OpenClaw universe, where you really have this proactive style agent that's really working on your behalf. So kind of think of it as like, instead of prompting the agent, you're really getting nonstop responses. You're getting more of an agentic workflow with skills and all types of useful tools to be connected. So really taking to the next level. If you're using things like ChatGPT or Claude right now, this is going to be a level up above that, right? This is going to be something much more agentic in nature, kind of closer to like Claude Code or something like that. The next one I put on this list here is Ruflo. This is a little bit newer. This is pretty interesting, where you can deploy an agent, but instead of deploying one, out of the box, pre-built like 60 agents that are pre-configured. So that instead of having to, build one and then build another sub-agent and build this hierarchy of, an organization, you really step out of the box with a whole swarm of agents ready to go, pre-configured for website, for copy, for sales, for all these things. So really cool concept. And then the last one is kind of the inverse. That's called Paperclip AI. This is, like I said, the opposite, where it allows you to really build out that org structure, but entirely of agents. So you kind of, you build your org structure, you have your CEO, you have your sales team, and as you build all these little AI agents and pre-configure them, you give them their own individual budgets to be orchestrator agents or have agents below them, and kind of, how that all rolls up. So just really cool concepts here. Like I said, this AI space is changing super fast. The Qlik MCP server is interacting with all of these things. And we're going to have some really cool videos coming up here soon, putting all that together. And that kind of leads me into my next topic here for some updates on the Arc side of the house. Officially announced that Arc Analytics is now on the Oklahoma state contract for Staff Aug. So this wasn't in the works forever, but it has kind of been in queue for a while. So it's something that we're proud to get out there and announce that now we do have access to that Staff Aug state contract and kind of expand our footprint out there. So Arc Analytics continues to grow. And then the big part here today is, well, I'll skip one, go to the website update. So if you do keep up with our website for the staffing portal specifically, that's going to be getting a lot of new updates this week. We're really pushing hard on the careers portal where you can kind of submit your resume in advance for something that might pop up in the future. And you can kind of think, we're kind of pitching this as a service where, just like LinkedIn, you put your work out there and put your resume up in hopes that people find you. This is really front loading your resume and your CV to us, and you kind of get stored in our resume vault. And then once you're stored in there, once we have something that comes across the desk that looks like you'd be a good fit, you pretty much kick in gear and get that process rolling. So kind of like a traditional staffing firm, but again, within the niche that everything kind of under the Arc Analytics umbrella is really data focused. So you're not going to be getting calls about roles that you're not interested in. And then the last thing here, number 2, is that Asus GX10. So if you're not familiar with what an Asus GX10 is, it is a relatively new piece of hardware. It is an AI workstation. It has the NVIDIA Grace Blackwell 10 chip with 128 gigs of unified RAM memory. So it is an absolute powerhouse, capable of running multiple models at once, high parameter models. Right now we're testing with 35 billion parameters, and it's churning through that. So to kind of bring it all back around, really what we're going to be pushing out here in the future is, like I said, really kind of bringing all these concepts together with Qlik Cloud, the MCP, the AI stuff. We are spinning up here some Hermes. We do have a copy of Hermes-Agent running with that model, with that LLM in the background. So we're going to be really getting to the bottom of a lot of that. And I think this will start to kind of inspire people, answer a lot of questions, do a lot of comparisons and benchmarking of the tools as we really start to unpack it. There's a lot of misinformation out there around what AI is capable of, and I think a lot of people are really happy to show how easy it is to set some of the stuff up, and sometimes it's a little too easy. You only really see the happy path through a lot of these videos, and really one part that we want to bring to light with anything, but the AI specifically, is that like anything, it does take work to set up, and the more systems that you're going to connect together, the better data landscape you have, you're going to be a better candidate for these types of tools. It all starts with data and security, and that's not going to change whether you go LLM to LLM. That's not going to change whether you're an Anthropic or an OpenAI fanboy. What does change is, are you an organization that is data and governance and security first? And if you don't have those data foundational layers, you could throw as many MCPs and AI servers all over the API servers all over the place connecting each other, but it's not going to give you the results in the long run you're looking for. So yeah, that's pretty much everything here. That's the Arc Analytics updates of the week. Like I said, we're going to be doing this every 2 weeks, checking in on kind of just updates about what we're doing, what's in the landscape, and then eventually I do want this to become more of a forum style situation and see where things can go. So I think this was a great first session, and I'm happy to be kicking things off here again, and we're gonna see where this goes and what type of energy it gets. So Stay tuned next week and see what's next. Thanks.